Listen to two biblical laws. First, if an ox gores a man or woman to death, the ox shall be stoned. But if the ox has been accustomed to gore in the past, and its owner was warned but did not keep it in, and it kills someone, the ox shall be stoned, and its owner also shall be put to death. Now the second, you shall not murder. One sounds like a detailed insurance policy. The other thunders as an absolute. Why the difference? A German scholar named Albrecht Alt figured out why this matters. Alt identified two fundamentally different forms of law in the Bible. The first is casuistic law, from the Latin casus, meaning case. This is case law. It follows conditional if-then patterns. If this situation occurs, then this consequence follows. But if circumstances differ, then a different consequence applies. This form handles the messiness of real disputes with graduated responses. Casuistic law wasn't an Israelite invention. It was the standard legal form across the entire ancient Near East. The Code of Hammurabi, a Babylonian law collection from around 1750 BCE, is the famous example. Right? From Mesopotamia to the Levant, from Eshnunna to the Hittite Empire, legal collections followed this same if-then structure. Israel participated in a shared regional legal tradition. The second form works completely differently. Apodictic law, from Greek meaning demonstrable or absolute, consists of unconditional commands or prohibitions. No if, no conditions, no qualifications, just absolute statements. You shall not murder. You shall not steal. You shall love the Lord your God. These commands apply universally without circumstantial exceptions. The structural contrast is stark. Casuistic law says if X happens, then Y is the consequence. Apodictic law says simply, you shall or you shall not. Casuistic law is conditional and detailed, addressing specific circumstances. Apodictic law is unconditional and general, applying without differentiation. One handles complexity through nuance. The other declares absolutes without negotiation. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Apodictic law isn't unique to Israel. It appears elsewhere in the ancient Near East. What makes Israel distinctive is frequency and prominence. Biblical legal collections contain far more apodictic law than any other ancient Near Eastern collection. This isn't about invention, it's about emphasis. Israel developed an unusual concentration of absolute commands within its legal tradition. This distribution reveals something profound about how Israel understood law. Casuistic law is practical. It helps judges handle real disputes with appropriate nuance. Apodictic law is theological. It expresses absolute divine will. The you shall form implies personal address, God speaking directly to the community. The combination suggests Israel saw law as both practical governance and divine revelation simultaneously. Albrecht Alt's 1934 distinction helped scholars understand how Israelite law both participated in and departed from its cultural environment. Israel borrowed the standard legal forms of its neighbors. Every culture needs case law to function, but Israel also developed something more characteristic, absolute commands that define the covenant identity, not just how to resolve disputes, but who Israel was called to be. So what does this mean for reading biblical law today? When you encounter if-then laws, you're reading case law designed for judges handling real disputes. Look for the underlying principles beneath the specific circumstances. When you encounter absolute commands, you're reading theological statements about Israel's covenant identity. These define who Israel is called to be before God. Both forms work together. Apodictic law sets the moral vision. Right? Casuistic law works out the practical implications. The next time you read biblical law, notice the form. Is this addressing a specific case with conditions and consequences, or declaring an absolute without qualification? The goring ox law and you shall not murder sit side by side in Exodus. Same book, same God, different forms doing different work. The answer to which form your reading changes how you understand what the text is doing.